And
Right.
so the only reason why people don't take action is because they're stuck up here. They're stuck in their mind and they believe they can't do it, or they're too scared to figure out the nuances in between, or they're lazy. Some people just don't want to do the work. They've got these dreams and these visions and they just don't want to do it. But the reality is if you can fight the battle that's going on up here and you can really lean in and say no, just say no to anything that is stopping you and push past it. That's the biggest gift you can give yourself.
Hey, everybody, welcome to a brand new episode of the None of Your Business podcast. I'm super excited for today's episode because I have a bone to pick. I'm going to just upset the entire digital agency world.
Flip it upside down.
And we have an expert on here, and she is going to set us straight because look, here's one of the things. I mean, and we got to tell the truth here on the podcast. We talk to a lot of people all the time, and listen, I think that every single small business, medium business owner understands the power of social media. We all know that we need to be leveraging social media. It is the great equalizer. It's the place where every business is on equal footing, allegedly. Right. So, you are competing with the big guys. You're competing with Coca-Cola and all of the big brands that are out there. But the idea is that we get equal footing. We're on the same platform together. Now, you would never be able to run ads during the Super Bowl.
Never.
But you
Christmas
can.
Is a little hard too.
Or Christmas. But you are able to run your ads on social media platforms. But here's the bone to pick. This is a highly unregulated, and I don't mean the platforms, I mean digital agencies, a highly unregulated field. And it's really hard to figure out who knows what they're talking about.
Right.
Like it's literally, and
especially because most people that hire digital agencies don't know what to look for.
Well, and I also know that, look, there's, I know there's courses. I've taken the courses, not because I'm a digital agency, but I've taken the courses because I wanted to learn, where people are just teaching average people how to create a digital agency in, a matter of weeks. Mm-hmm. And one of the things is oftentimes inside of the content, they're saying, hey, target these sectors. Basically they're saying, hey, these guys are dummies, right? Like they'll buy anything. So even though I just taught you like over the course of my 8 modules and you have no idea what you're doing, you've never done it before, get these people to buy from you. They'll buy it from you, right? And what happens is then, you hire somebody and you like that person, you like that somebody, and you tell me, and I hire them, and I tell James, and James hires them, and then they then appear to have a large degree of success. But then you talk to everybody 6 months later, and they're like, yep, I didn't get any clients. It was a total bust. And so then what they say, this is the worst. So then I'm like, yeah, that sucked. I didn't get any clients. So who are you using now?
And we just move to the next one. And nothing's ever worked for me.
But here's what I also know. To be totally fair, I, of course, talk to people who have tremendous success utilizing agencies, right? They get phenomenal success. They build their business. They bring in new clients. They get tons of exposure. And we want to bring in somebody today that will help us to sift through the muck, if you will, and help us to understand what should we be looking for, what should we be expecting if we are trying to grow our business utilizing a social media agency. Her name is Stephanie Dove Blake. She's with Social Sparrow. You can find her at www.socialsparrow.com. Let's bring in Stephanie. Welcome to the None of Your Business podcast.
Hi, Stephanie.
Hey, guys. So glad to be here and so excited to get to talk about this. I was laughing so hard and also cringing too inside with your intro and kind of what you're saying. So I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so true. And it's so sad, so I'm glad to be here to chat about it.
Well, we're not going to do our normal first question today because we know you.
We don't need to hear your creation
of
story.
Working with you for a couple of months now. and not saying working with you as a digital agency, although you have been working with her with one of your businesses. So we're not saying, oh, we're just highlighting someone we work with, putting us in the same category that I was just talking about. But we've had the pleasure of working alongside you and seeing what you've been doing to grow your business and all of the great breakthroughs that have been happening. And we're going to talk about that. But let's dive right into this first topic. You have tremendous success with your clients. All of your clients rave about you. In fact, I was just reading a post just literally a couple minutes ago, somebody saying, hey, if you're not working with Stephanie, like you really need to be, because they were, just raving about the results that they're seeing. Give us some tips for what are some of the first things. Help us to begin to understand the difference between someone like yourself and some of the, say, less competent options that are out there.
Yeah. Okay. So such a great question. And I'm so happy to share this because I feel like a lot of chiropractors and a lot of people in local business space really do get taken just because of the exact situation that you already described. And so one of the main things that I would say that you should look for is for sure finding out how long have they been in business. How long have you actually been doing this? And are they scared to let you talk to current clients? And whenever you talk to if they are okay with you talking to their current clients, what are those clients saying? What clues are they telling you? Don't just go off. Just like you said, you can look in retrospect after 6 months of working with an agency and be like, actually, hold on. They generated a ton of leads, but my business didn't actually grow. I didn't have any actual ROI whenever it comes down to it. So, number one is definitely make sure that you are asking how long have they been in business and see if they're comfortable sharing, some people to talk to, like how long have you been working with Stephanie? What is it like? What is the ROI that you have experienced? And so secondarily, also consider whether, a lot of people in my industry are incredible salespeople, just incredible salespeople. And they can come out and they can sell, but then they can't actually deliver on the back end. And so there's lots of different reasons why I think that we're so different and why I ended up going this route. But that's something from the very beginning that's been the highest priority. Like, how do I give the top customer service experience while also keeping in mind the ROI? And like, what are you actually getting from investing in our services? Because at the end of the day, if you don't have that, if you don't actually have the ROI, how am I actually helping you? How am I actually contributing back into the world by helping chiropractors make more of an impact if you don't actually have butts in seats and you're not able to sell them a care package, right? It's not doing any good. It's just making all of us work really hard and not getting any results. And so really watching out to find out, what kind of ROI. Like, I don't want to know how many leads. Well, it's important to know how many leads and how much cost per lead, but ultimately, it's not just a talk around leads. It's a talk around actual results from those leads. How many converted? How many got booked? How many showed up? And how many converted to care? And that's what matters. So if you can at least start with those two things, it's huge.
Well, obviously, Stephanie works with chiropractors.
Right.
How important?
But this is applicable to anybody that's hiring a marketing agency.
Yes, and that was kind of the line of my questioning, though, is like how important is it then that you work with someone that understands your industry? Because there's a lot of agencies that are, just general. Would it be important to work with somebody that understands industry or, my space, understands solar, versus somebody who's general? I guess too, a way to ask this question is, do you think you would be effective doing the same thing for, say, dentists?
Yeah. So I have been effective doing like running ads for dentists. We've also served a lot of different types of local businesses. But ultimately, if I want to serve and be able to grow and scale my agency and truly become the best in the industry for that niche, then I have to actually be niched down. And so I think whenever you're talking about the kind of entrepreneur that you want to work with for what you're doing, I'd actually recommend that you look for someone who specializes in your niche, not just anybody who would take any business just because they're looking for that. I hate to say it, but like a money grab, like, oh yeah, you need help, I can help you. Oh, you too, I can help you too. You want someone who's going to say, look, that's not my field of expertise, but I'll refer you over here to another agency, because they're the true experts. They understand the nuances of a cash-based practice versus the insurance practice, right? With chiropractors, I could spit off all these different areas where, I know that I know that I know, like the back of my hand, I understand chiropractic. And there's been a lot of other people, and there was a season of my entrepreneurial journey where I actually served anybody who came to me. And I had to grow and I had to mature out of that. And you don't necessarily want a jack of all trades. You want someone who understands your industry, the average KPIs you need to be looking for. What are the common problems that come up? If you're truly looking to scale, you want to look for someone who understands that and gets that.
So I want to just roll it just a little bit because I think you said something really important that I don't want people to miss. You were talking about like leads aren't super, super important because it's about getting butts in seats and getting people to convert. But we do know leads are important because we need to get the leads, track the leads in order to get them. And you said the next step was to book. And here's where I feel like a lot of people fail is they get all of these leads in by working with a marketing agency or a company, and then they don't convert the leads into that first step of actually getting them to book. And I know that you have done so much work on actually analyzing and looking deep into this problem to find solutions to help the everyday chiropractor, service provider, practitioner move them from this lead attraction into the next logical step. So can you talk a little bit about that for us as well?
Yes. And I want to tell you a little story that directly correlates to BDC and Quest 7. But I was in BDC for a little while, for about almost, I think maybe 7 or 8 months. I'd love to look at the numbers in the back end, but I was in BDC kind of floating along, not really plugged in yet. I didn't understand fully what I had joined. And Sean Lacey, you did a great job. You hired somebody, I believe his name is Jordan. And Jordan started following up with me as a BDC member who had not attended an event and was not a part of any other higher, packages. And so Jordan starts following up with me obsessively. I get emails, I get text messages, I get phone calls. So much so, I'm a busy entrepreneur and I'm a mother of 4. I'm a dedicated wife. There's a lot going on in my life. And he finally got my attention. So I got one of my team members to have a conversation with him and find out, what does this Jordan guy want? And so I finally found out, okay, there's this event. He wants me to come to this event. It seems like it might be a good fit for me. So I get on the phone with Jordan eventually and then Tristan, and I decide to come to the event. At the event, I upgrade to one of the masterminds. And one of the best decisions for me personally, I literally walked up to Jordan and I said, thank you so much for following up with me. And whenever I looked back at all of the touch points and contacts that it took to get me to that event, it was around 18 to 19 touch points, you guys, all together. It was a ridiculous amount of touch points. And it's no different. And I know that I'm a little bit different because I'm an entrepreneur, but the reality is our world, we get inundated with messages and notifications and emails and phone calls and spam calls and all this stuff. Our world is so much different than what it was even a year ago. And so right now, whenever it comes to lead generation, it's not the same as it was, like I said, even a year ago, 5 years ago. You really have to have a solid follow-up system because right now, on average, and I'm in a lot of masterminds and we tend to get super geeky and talk about this stuff, but on average, we're looking at anywhere from there's certain people who will just go ahead and book, but then there's other people who will take at least 14 to 18 touch points before they'll actually book their appointment. And a lot of people will go, oh, well, those aren't good leads, but that's not true. And we have the data to prove it. You trace it back and those people end up converting. And so it's super important to have a very, very strong follow-up system that whether it's some automated mixed with human touch, or you have someone dedicated specifically to following up with those leads. It's literally the difference between ROI or no ROI. You're either going to be winning or you're going to be losing, period.
Well, you obviously know this from experience that maybe you set up some sort of a campaign for someone, you generate the leads, the phone is ringing, but they don't have the systems to convert those leads. And then, of course, like you said, then they're going to blame you. Like, oh my gosh, the leads are terrible.
Are horrible.
These people didn't call and just say, hello, yes,
I'm ready.
I would like to give you my credit card number. So since they didn't do that, you've adapted your system a bit. And you have taken steps to alleviate some of the, let's call it pressure of conversion off of your client's plate, because you're like, look, if I'm going to be judged on conversions, then we have to know that you have strong conversions. And that's quite unique in the space. So what are some of the things that you have done to take it beyond just the click and the filling out of the web form? How are you as a company addressing this conversion problem?
Yeah, and I think that's one of the big kind of invisible elephants in the room, if you will. I like totally made that up, so I don't know if it even makes sense. But seriously, it's like this elephant in the room. It's taking up all the space, but nobody wants to recognize that it's there, or maybe some people don't even see it's there. And so again, I would bring a new client on. We would generate like mind blowing leads, like things going awesome. We'll see the leads, and then all of a sudden, the client's not happy, and it's like we're like, what? How can you not be happy? Like I have this other practice over here and they're killing it. They're having like $1 million months. You know what I'm saying? As far as like it equates out to $1 million a year, 83,000 or so. And so like they're doing just incredible, but you're getting more leads than they are, but yet you're not happy. And so as you start diving into the data, you start to see the story unfold, because data is an emotional. You can look at the data, it tells you the story, and you can find where is it broken. And ultimately it was broken in the lack of follow-up. So the front office staff is already busy, whoever's doing this is already in business, right? So they've got all these leads and it's like, okay, cool. I called them and I called them again. I called them a third time, Stephanie, they didn't answer. Like they obviously aren't really interested. And then those leads would just sit there dormant. And so what we have done is two things. The first thing is we've innovated and we have sequences, like 90-day sequences that will follow up with people. That doesn't mean a call or a text or a phone call every single day for 90 days, but where we know for 90 days we followed up with them, and we feel like that's a really good number, because we've had people come in a month and a half, 2 months later, and it's like, oh my gosh, my husband got COVID, or I had to go on this trip and then it resulted in this, or whatever might have happened in their lives, and they come back around and they make an excellent patient. But if they hadn't been continued to be followed up with, it would have been a lead that you paid for and it was just lost, and then you wouldn't have that. So the first thing is that automated process of being able to follow up via text message, phone calls, voicemail drops, and things like that. And then the second thing is we went ahead and took it a step further, because like I said, sometimes the business owner or the front office staff, they already had a full-time job, they're already super busy, and they just can't stay up on the leads. And these leads need to be followed up with every single day in a certain way, in a consistent manner, in multiple different ways, with phone calls and text messages. And so what we've done is we innovated. Now we have lead care coordinators inside of our team. So these lead care coordinators then come in and follow all of our systems. They utilize all of our platform, everything, and then they actually book directly into the EHR for the chiropractor. And so it's been incredible, the difference, because typically sometimes we'll see like a 20% conversion rate to book. But with this team, we're seeing like a 65 to 75% conversion rate into booking. And so, I mean, you don't have to be a math whiz to see the difference between a 20% conversion to booking to 65 to 75%. And in one office, there's 85%. So, I mean, it's all, we all have to work together between the practice and the lead care coordinator team and our team, and just like really, truly making magic happen, that we used to always talk about. Back in the day, like the main marketing thing everybody would say is like, oh, don't you want a faucet you can just turn leads on and off with? And, that seemed to be kind of a thing of the past. But once you really have a solid system going and you have a solid team and you know what you've got going on, it's very like that. It's very much like that. Like you can turn on the leads and you might have a little bit of ebb and flow, but it's consistent. The leads come in and then they convert to care. It's incredible.
I mean, this speaks to my like systems soul, because this is one of the things that I have recognized for so long in the service industry. That is one of the big like gaping holes, one of the big issues that people can't solve for is, once I do get all of these leads, what do I do for them, with them? How do I get them to convert? And most importantly, how do I build in the bandwidth and the time to actually do that? And so you've solved for two problems, because a lot of people know what they need to do, but like you said, it could take up to 18 touch points just to get somebody to get on the phone with you, to get them on a call, to get them to book. I mean, and so a lot of offices, as they're building their businesses, they don't have the time, the bandwidth, the ability to be able to do that. So I love that you have solved for so many things by having the lead care coordinator team. I think that's just phenomenal. So the other thing I would say too is, you have done a lot of work in the space. I mean, when we talk about experts in the field, I mean, I know that you're not going to toot your own horn, but I think Sean and I can do that for you. I mean, you have been recognized in a world of funnel builders and individuals, and really have proven and setting yourself apart. So tell us a little bit about your journey of what you've done to educate yourself in this field, because I know that this wasn't always the thing that you did forever.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So it has been the most wild ride. And just recently I got to kind of take a step back and really kind of look at it in full view, because I'm getting the opportunity to speak at Funnel Hacking Live this year, which is like the biggest deal in my industry. You know, I'm
Yep.
so honored and excited. But just 7 years ago, I was a homeschooling mama of four that literally my husband was working two jobs, and we were just struggling, you guys. And I was not in the digital marketing space. My previous background is in network engineering. So I am literally a high school dropout because I knew I loved computers so much. I was going to go to a technical school. And so that was during the dot-com boom. I'm kind of aging myself a little bit there. But in the dot-com boom, I went to a school at the age of 17 and was in a room with a full of 40-year-old men studying network engineering. And so I dove into that field a little bit before, I came home, started having babies, and anyway, come back up after some travel and lots of crazy, awesome, amazing life things. And then here we are. And I decide that I'm going to reach out to a local chiropractor and ask him if I could run some ads for him, much like a lot of the people who are trying to break in to the industry now. But this was 7 years ago, and I ran ads for him for free. And it was a game changer for him and I. He's still a client to this very day. Shout out Dr. Caleb Braddock. He's amazing out in Van Alstyne, Texas. And so, it started there, and I did a webinar with him. And so I did a webinar with him, brought on some more chiropractors, and life has been so insane because, like I mentioned before, I'm definitely an entrepreneur by heart. So I'm very creative as well. And so where my journey led me was I got interested in bots. I don't know, if anybody knows what that is, but in the digital marketing space with bots, it became a very big thing about 3 or 4 years ago. So I got in there and I created an info product course. I created a Facebook ad course. I just started creating all sorts of things, which led me into really kind of diving into masterminds to learn how to do all of these things. And so I started consuming courses. I got lead page certified, ClickFunnels certified, copywriting, like all the things. I did all the things and started just learning and growing. And eventually I was in a mastermind with Russell Brunson, and it's called the 2 Comma Club. And he asked if I would coach inside of that program. And so I had the honor to get to go inside of that program and coach hundreds of entrepreneurs in all industries. I'm talking e-com, infopreneurs, local businesses, you name it. I got to go in there, dive into their business, and help them figure out how to solve the problems that they were having and get things launched and make things happen. And so I did that for about a year, and that was truly game changing for me. It opened up my love of coaching. And so along with my agency, I've also done some small coaching. I usually have like 1 or 2 coaching clients per quarter. And I've just been able to really lean in and allow my kind of geek flag to fly, because I love technology, but it also works so well because I love people. And so I've been able to pair my love of technology with love of people. And I found that in digital marketing, and truly recognizing the entrepreneurness that was in me this whole time. As I was a kid, I always felt different, and I had no idea why. And I had no idea why the things that were fun to other people weren't fun to me unless I was achieving something. So I'm a high achiever. And so all of it has just been the most wild ride to go from someone who was literally homeschooling kids, my husband having to work 2 jobs. I literally had never made more than like $4,000 in a month in my entire life. And I thought that was like, wow, I have made it, you guys. And then to go into owning my own business, and then having a team of 13, and then being able to make impact in people's lives and grow this incredible agency. And then I've been able to coach businesses and help them reach millions of dollars. And it's crazy to me how fast, whenever you focus on what your strengths are, how exponential the growth can be in whatever it is that you're doing, right? And so I think I had this wonderful friend, and she taught me about Strengths Finder. I started to understand my strengths, and I started really focusing on that. And whenever I did, it accelerated everything. And truly, digital marketing and being in the space has been something that has unlocked, I think what I was created for.
So Funnel Hacking Live, September 21st through 24th in Orlando, Florida. You should get registered. Go to funnelhackinglive.com. You will be able to hear Stephanie speaking on stage there at Funnel Hacking Live. Well, that's one of the things that
Just one.
That's one of the things that I would say, if you're like, I wonder if my digital agency is legit. So, you could also call them, ask them how long they've been in business, ask them for
references and testimonials.
Probably should see one of those 2 comma awards like she has
right behind her
over her shoulder there. That's a pretty standard
do
credibility
you know
builder.
Russell Brunson?
And do you know Russell Brunson? And have you ever spoken at Funnel Hacking? Have you ever been? Because of course you've been, because that's how
I would hope
trying
you've
to get
been.
into this
If you
space.
haven't been, then we've really got a problem.
I want to know, have you been a speaker
Yeah.
at and if the answer is no, well, then, I'm not saying that they're bad. I'm not saying that at all, but I'm saying that, well, you might want to give Stephanie a call and have her help you vet them out, or see if maybe she could help you. Remember, her website is socialsparrow.com. You can find her there. And let's talk about this book. You have a book that's about to release. The book is called The Owners, A Titan's Guide to Building a Limitless Agency. Now, it's very important. This is not just for agencies. We should have switched the word. Building a limitless business.
Yes.
And so talk to us about the book. I know that this was something that it was a vision of yours. It was a calling, and then you were called upon to turn the calling into reality in very short order. And it's very impressive what you've done here with this book.
Yeah, it was insane. So just 28 days ago, this was not a thing, but here it is. It's like official. I have a book. Can't even believe it. If you're on the podcast, if you're listening, I'm holding up the book. And it was about 28 days ago. I was thinking about, what am I going to talk to these people about whenever I'm on the stage at Funnel Hacking Live? Like, how can I deliver the most value to where they walk away and it's like game changing for them in their business? And so I started thinking about that. And then what kept coming up was how much I've learned from so many other people, and how many incredible people I've been blessed to know through all the different masterminds over the years, and just through all of the work that I've done. And I got to thinking, man, would it be amazing if I could have a book where my favorite agency owners gave their best business advice to anybody who is thinking about starting a business or an agency. And so I reached out to them. I got in the inner circle, and people from past masterminds, people I know who are making multiple 8 figures, like just incredible people who I'm fortunate to call friend. And I was like, hey, would you be interested in submitting a chapter for my book? And that's upcoming, and it's called The Owners. And they all said yes. I was so shocked. They all said yes, and almost all of them met the deadline. And within 28 days, actually, it was crazy. Within 2.5 weeks, I had the first draft in my hands. And so that is just a huge shout out to the team that I worked with. I have a friend who came in, and Franco Urbez helped me to pull it all together. But it was just an incredible thing. And let me tell you what, I'm just so amazed, because as I read through this, like, I knew I was going to be biased on this book, you guys, because it's mine. I'm like so excited, like, I have a book. But really, truly, whenever I dive into it, matter of fact, a lot of the reviews that we've gotten back is like, this is a business goldmine. It is absolutely chock full of incredible business advice that you don't get unless you've paid, tens of thousands of dollars getting into masterminds to hear and learn from people who've walked before. And there's a quote in the front of the book that I just love so much. And it was actually from, hold on a second, let me pull it. In a letter to Robert Hooke in 1675, Isaac Newton made his most famous statement: "If I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants." And like, how smart is that? Like, especially like with what Sean and Lacey have built with BDC and Quest 7 and all the different coaching programs they have, it's shortcutting your way to success by being able to learn from people who have already walked the path, right? They already understand what it takes. They already understand the pitfalls. And then you get to tap into that wisdom and that knowledge. And I attribute a lot of the growth and success I've had because I was not scared to invest. I was not scared at all to put my money where my mouth was. Matter of fact, I was a little too eager, and I spent a little too much money in some places. But I have spent 6 figures on my brain, and I don't regret it one single bit, because it made the difference between me understanding and just sidestepping a lot of problems. A lot of entrepreneurs talk about cycling, and how if you don't have a bankrupt business in the beginning, then you can't be trusted. But I want to say that I understand that. But like, to me, I'm like, I don't have a bankrupt business, and I don't plan on it. And that's because I'm smart enough to choose to invest in people who can help me avoid those mistakes. I don't need to go there and be, the person who thinks they know it all and have to have a bankrupt business in order to prove myself the second time around. right? Like I'm ready to go and I'm ready for my business to scale. And it's because I'm willing to stand on the shoulders of giants. And in this book, we say it's a Titan's Guide to Building a Limitless Agency. And so a Titan is a person of very great strength, intellect, or importance. And I think that whenever you look around and you look in your industry and you see people are doing the things that you want to be doing, and you want to model that, well, just pay to get access to them. Pay to get access to them so that you can walk the path and you can avoid all of the pitfalls of it all.
Well, that's absolutely phenomenal advice. And I absolutely agree with that. That is the way. And it's not even just access. Access is important, mentorship is important. But I will tell you that from some of those will emerge friendships, relationships, long-lasting relationships that will actually transcend that paid
advice
encounter. Yeah.
mentorship.
Because you eventually are partners with them or working with them. And so yes, this is the best advice that I think for anybody who's like trying to come up in the digital marketing space. And it's not with us, we're nobody in that space, but it's with people like Stephanie, and it's the people that Stephanie surrounds herself with that are doing the thing. The best way to figure out how to get somewhere is to ask somebody who's already been there for directions. And so I think that this is phenomenal advice.
Can I just, but before you ask your next question, I just think there's also a really important lesson in there for anybody out there listening that may have that feeling or that thought, like I have a book inside me. So many people have so much resistance because they're like, this is going to take so long. I don't know where to get started. I don't know how I could get it done. Like the velocity in which you were able to have the idea for that book and then get that printed and into production is unbelievable. And you said it, it was because you were surrounded with the right people and you had the right team to help you along the way. And so listen, there's a lot of ways to do a lot of things out there, but if you have a book, stop sitting on it. I mean, you could get a book out there as quickly as you desire.
Yes. Oh my gosh, it's so true. And also too, not being scared about the what if it doesn't work out, or what if I run into this problem, or any of that stuff, because it was like fail forward. We would hit a roadblock and then we would figure out how to solve it. Right. And I'm telling you, there were a couple all-nighters. But every problem, everything is figure outable. And so it's just a matter of, making it happen and moving it forward.
What's one thing that you hope that the people at Funnel Hacking Live will learn from your presentation?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I would love to come home with a strategy, but I think one of the biggest things is something that newbies in the business or people starting up or typically kind of snicker at and fluff off. But I hope to really, really, truly be able to drive it home at Funnel Hacking Live, which is the belief part of what we do as entrepreneurs. I think that you have to be able to, like the people who may have a book inside of them and they've been saying that for 5 years. Well, if it's inside of you, take action. And so the only reason why people don't take action is because they're stuck up here. They're stuck in their mind and they believe they can't do it, or they're too scared to figure out the nuances in between, or they're lazy. Some people just don't want to do the work. They've got these dreams and these visions and they just don't want to do it. But the reality is if you can fight the battle that's going on up here and you can really lean in and say no, just say no to anything that is stopping you and push past it. That's the biggest gift you can give yourself. And I think for me, I've had this, and I know there's more growth to happen in my own journey, but whenever I first started, guys, I couldn't even believe anybody would pay me over $1,000 to do any kind of work. Like I had no belief. I had no comprehension of understanding that, but I had to grow into that and I had to dream bigger, but I only had dreaming capacity of so much. And so I had to believe enough for my dreaming capacity to grow bigger so that I could accept all the awesomeness that was going to come my way. And I think that's even true now. Like, I think I have this, cap that I've got to learn how to break free from and say, okay, what is the next big dream? What is the next big thing? But I can't do that unless I recognize that I am my own advocate for what's in me getting out. And if I don't rage against this thing that wants to hold me back, the security truly is what it is. Typically it's either security of current comfort, security of I don't want to fail. It could be security of fear of what other people think, like whatever that thing is that's holding you back. Like don't just like try to work on it, like rage against it. It is what is holding you back from reaching your full potential. And so at Funnel Hacking Live, I hope that whenever they walk away with the belief and the inspiration that they've got everything they need in order to make it happen. They just have to take action, and they have to fight that mindset stuff that starts to come up and just not accept it. Like, it's not acceptable to sit back today because I have fear going on in my head, right? I'm going to fight it. I'm going to put it to the side, and I'm going to move forward. And I feel like that's been what my journey has been, one step at a time, facing new demons or fears or whatever at whatever level, and deciding, no, I'm the girl for the job. Like, I'm going to defeat this. I'm not going to accept it. And I move it out of the way, and I make my own way through. You know what I mean? And so many people, I think life and other people have given them stories in their mind that they're not the boy or the girl for the job, the man or the woman for the job, right? Like, and they've held on to that instead of choosing to change their mind to believe for something bigger and greater. And so that's what I hope to get across. I mean, I got a whole bunch more planned. I'm super excited. But that's the main thing, truly, rather than strategies or this for business or this, or here's how you make 7 figures. That stuff's important. But the strategy and the how is literally everywhere. You can YouTube and watch Alex Hormozzi's YouTube channel, listen to this podcast. Like, the how is out there. It's, will you actually take action and do something with it? Because if you won't, then your dreams aren't going to be realized. You're going to stay right where you are. And that's a lack of momentum. And that's, death for the true entrepreneur at heart, whenever you don't have momentum in your life. And so, yeah.
Well, fantastic. If you didn't get that in that segment there, well, you can still go to Funnel
back
Hacking
and listen
Live.
again.
You should listen again. Then you can go back to Funnel Hacking Live and catch Stephanie Dove Blake. I hope that people will engage with you, because you are not one of the posers in a crowded field, full of a lot of people that's very hard to delineate and distinguish who's real and who's not. You are helping tons and tons of people, as is evidenced by the amount of attention, accolades, and recognition that you are getting in the field, and it's all very, very well deserved. Stephanie, thank you so much for joining us on the None of Your Business podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure. I hope that people will connect with you. Go to www.socialsparrow.com. That can begin your journey working with Stephanie and building your business. She can help you to reach even more people, to make an even bigger impact, and to create the lifestyle that you deserve. All right, folks. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. We'll be back again next week with a brand new edition of the None of Your Business podcast.